Chapter 7. What is in a name? For a time that seemed to them long, the two men stood waiting, while still the Mother of Light did not return. So long was she absent that they began to grow anxious. How were they to find their way from the natural hollows of the mountain crossed by goblin paths if their lamps should go out? To spend the night there would mean to sit and wait until an earthquake rent the mountain, or the earth herself fell back into the smelting furnace of the sun whence she had issued, for it was all night and no faintest dawn in the bosom of the world. So long did they wait unrevisited that, had there not been two of them, either would at length have concluded the vision a home-born product of his own seething brain, and their lamps were going out, for they grew redder and smokier. But they did not lose courage, for there is a kind of capillary attraction in the facing of two souls that lifts faith quite beyond the level to which either could raise it alone. They knew that they had seen the Lady of Emeralds, and it was to give them their own desire that she had gone from them, and neither would yield for a moment to the half-doubts and half-dreads that awoke in his heart. And still she, who with her absence darkened their air, did not return. They grew weary, and sat down on the rocky floor, for wait they would, indeed, wait they must. Each set his lamp by his knee, and watched it die. Slowly it sank, dulled, looked lazy and stupid. But ever as it sank and dulled, the image in his mind of the Lady of Light grew stronger and clearer. Together the two lamps panted and shuddered. First one, then the other went out, leaving for a moment a great red, evil-smelling snuff. Then all was the blackness of darkness up to their very hearts and everywhere around them. Was it? No. Far away, it looked miles away, shone one minute, faint point of green light. Where? Who could tell? They only knew that it shone. It grew larger and seemed to draw nearer, until at last, as they watched with speechless delight and expectation, it seemed once more within reach of an outstretched hand. Then it spread and melted away as before, and there were eyes, and a face, and a lovely form, and lo, the whole cavern blazing with lights innumerable, and gorgeous, yet soft and interfused, so blended indeed that the eye had to search and see in order to separate distinct spots of special color. The moment they saw the speck in the vast distance, they had risen and stood on their feet. When it came nearer, they bowed their heads. Yet now they looked with fearless eyes, for the woman that was old and yet young was a joy to see, and filled their hearts with reverent delight. She turned first to Peter. "I have known you long," she said. "I have met you going to and from the mine, and seen you working in it for the last 40 years. How should it be, madam, that a grand lady like you should take notice of a poor man like me?" said Peter, humbly, but more foolishly than he could then have understood. "I am poor as well as rich," said she. "I, too, work for my bread, and I show myself no favor when I pay myself my own wages. Last night, when you sat by the brook, and Curdie told you about my pigeon and my spinning, and wondered whether he could believe that he had actually seen me, I heard all you said to each other. I am always about, as the miners said the other night when they talked of me, as Old Mother Wotherwop." The lovely lady laughed, and her laugh was a lightning of delight in their souls. "Yes," she went on, "you have got to thank me that you are so poor, Peter. I have seen to that, and it has done well for both you and me, my friend. Things come to the poor that can't get in at the door of the rich. Their money somehow blocks it up. It is a great privilege to be poor, Peter, one that no man ever coveted, but a very few have sought to retain, but one that yet many have learned to prize. You must not mistake, however, and imagine it a virtue. It is but a privilege, and one also that, like other privileges, may be terribly misused. Hadst thou been rich, my Peter, thou wouldst not have been so good as some rich men I know. And now I am going to tell you what no one knows but myself. You, Peter, and your wife have both the blood of the royal family in your veins. I have been trying to cultivate your family tree, every branch of which is known to me, and I expect Curdie to turn out a blossom on it. Therefore I have been training him for a work that must soon be done. I was near losing him, and had to send my pigeon. Had he not shot it, that would have been better, but he repented, and that shall be as good in the end. She turned to Curdie and smiled. "Ma'am," said Curdie, "may I ask questions?" "Why not, Curdie?" "Because I have been told, ma'am, that nobody must ask the king questions." "The king never made that law," she answered with some displeasure. "You may ask me as many as you please, that is, so long as they are sensible. Only I may take a few thousand years to answer some of them, but that's nothing. Of all things, time is the cheapest." "Then would you mind telling me now, ma'am, for I feel very confused about it, are you the Lady of the Silver Moon?" "Yes, Curdie, you may call me that if you like. What it means is true. And now I see you dark and clothed in green, and the mother of all the light that dwells in the stones of the earth. And up there they call you Old Mother Wotherwop, and the Princess Irene told me you were her great-great-grandmother. And you spin the spider threads, and take care of a whole people of pigeons, and you are worn to a pale shadow with old age, and are as young as anybody can be, not to be too young, and as strong, I do believe, as I am." The lady stooped towards a large green stone bedded in the rock of the floor, and looking like a well of grassy light in it. She laid hold of it with her fingers, broke it out, and gave it to Peter. "There!" cried Curdie, "I told you so. 20 men could not have done that, and your fingers are white and smooth as any lady's in the land. I don't know what to make of it. I could give you 20 names more to call me, Curdie, and not one of them would be a false one. What does it matter how many names, if the person is one? Ah, but it is not names only, ma'am. Look at what you were like last night, and what I see you now. Shapes are only dresses, Curdie, and dresses are only names. That which is inside is the same all the time. But then, how can all the shapes speak the truth? It would want thousands more to speak the truth, Curdie, and then they could not. But there is a point I must not let you mistake about. It is one thing the shape I choose to put on, and quite another the shape that foolish talk and nursery tale may please to put upon me. Also, it is one thing what you or your father may think about me, and quite another what a foolish or bad man may see in me. For instance, if a thief were to come in here just now, he would think he saw the demon of the mine, all in green flames, come to protect her treasure, and would run like a hunted wild goat. I should be all the same, but his evil eyes would see me as I was not. "I think I understand," said Curdie. "Peter," said the lady, turning then to him, "you will have to give up Curdie for a little while." "So long as he loves us, ma'am, that will not matter much." "Ah, you are right there, my friend," said the beautiful princess. And as she said it, she put out her hand and took the hard, horny hand of the miner in it, and held it for a moment lovingly. "I need say no more," she added, "for we understand each other, you and I, Peter." The tears came into Peter's eyes. He bowed his head in thankfulness, and his heart was much too full to speak. Then the great old young beautiful princess turned to Curdie. "Now, Curdie, are you ready?" she said. "Yes, ma'am," answered Curdie. "You do not know what for." "You do, ma'am. That is enough." "You could not have given me a better answer, or done more to prepare yourself, Curdie," she returned, with one of her radiant smiles. "Do you think you will know me again?" "I think so, but how can I tell what you may look like next?" Ah, that indeed. How can you tell? Or how could I expect you should? But those who know me well know me whatever new dress or shape or name I may be in, and by you will have learned to do so too. But if you want me to know you again, ma'am, for certain sure, said Curdie, could you not give me some sign, or tell me something about you that never changes, or some other way to know you, or thing to know you by? No, Curdie, that would be to keep you from knowing me. You must know me in quite another way from that. It would not be the least use to you, or me either, if I were to make you know me in that way. It would be but to know the sign of me, not to know me myself. It would be no better than if I were to take this emerald out of my crown and give it you to take home with you, and you were to call it me and talk to it as if it heard and saw and loved you. Much good that would do you, Curdie. No, you must do what you can to know me, and if you do, you will. You shall see me again, in very different circumstances from these, and I will tell you so much, it may be in a very different shape. But come now, I will lead you out of this cavern. My good Joan will be getting too anxious about you. One word more. You will allow that the men knew little what they were talking about this morning, when they told all those tales of old Mother Wotherwop. But did it occur to you to think how it was they fell to talking about me at all? It was because I came to them. I was beside them all the time they were talking about me, though they were far enough from knowing it, and had very little besides foolishness to say. As she spoke, she turned and led the way from the cavern, which, as if a door had been closed, sunk into absolute blackness behind them. And now they saw nothing more of the lady except the green star, which again seemed a good distance in front of them, and to which they came no nearer, although following it at a quick pace through the mountain. Such was their confidence in her guidance, however, and so fearless were they in consequence, that they felt their way neither with hand nor foot, but walked straight on through the pitch-dark galleries. When, at length, the knight of the upper world looked in at the mouth of the mine, the green light seemed to lose its way amongst the stars, and they saw it no more. Out they came into the cool, blessed night. It was very late, and only starlight. To their surprise, 3 paces away they saw, seated upon a stone, an old countrywoman, in a cloak which they took for black. When they came close up to it, they saw it was red. "Good evening," said Peter. "Good evening," returned the old woman, in a voice as old as herself. But Curdie took off his cap and said, "I am your servant, princess." The old woman replied, "Come to me in the Dove Tower tomorrow night, Curdie, alone." "I will, ma'am," said Curdie. So they parted, and father and son went home to wife and mother, 2 persons in one rich, happy woman.